Hey, what's going on, Facebook? Thank you for tuning back in for another episode of the Tim Macy Show. And I'm super excited to have the Bill Pipes with us today. Bill, thank you for coming on.
Tim, thanks for having me on, brother. Super excited and pumped too. I know it took a little bit of time for this to happen, but I'm grateful that we made it work, man.
Well, we're glad you're here. So, for the small amount of my audience that doesn't know who you are, give us the elevator pitch. Who is Bill
Sure.
Pipes?
So my name is Bill Pipes. I've been in the industry since I was 22 years old. I am currently the not head coach, because Tom Ferry really is the head coach, but I'm the coach that's in charge of all the curriculum and the training for all of our coaches. Currently, I'm also one of the speakers, probably the primary speaker for the organization right now, leading one of our courses called Sales Edge that many of you may have been at, which is the scripts and dialogues and influence class that teaches real estate agents how to be able to generate more leads, how to be able to close more of their appointments, and ultimately have more consistency in their business. But background before that, and Tim, we were just talking about this as we started. Background before that, we did have a real estate team that was based out of here in Salt Lake City, where I live. And that team was our original hub. We launched with Boomtown. We were one of the first 15 Boomtown users. Big shout out to Greer. Love him. And we took Boomtown, and all of a sudden, man, dude, we were like leveraging into Craigslist. Did you remember that? Like when we had a team in the Philippines that was posting on Craigslist.
Yeah.
We were generating 200, 300, 400, 500 leads per month. And we went, shit, this is so easy. So we pulled down Boomtown and a couple other marketplaces and partnered with some agents and just arbitrage leads, set appointments, had a huge ISA team, man, and sold that 2015.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I mean, there's a fairly big group of people that got into Boomtown early on and just grew these giant businesses on the back of Boomtown. So it's funny to hear you be another guy that
one of the first 15, man. We had no idea what we were doing. Like it honestly was funny looking back now, because a lot of the strategies that are so common right now were completely new then. An ISA was a brand new thing in 2009, 2010, man. And all the online marketing. So it's just sort of fun to see how the industry has evolved and where it's going.
Well, I think it's funny, you say that. It's like, I think everybody seeks out knowing what they're doing a little bit too much, because when the new thing happens, when the new thing you should be doing happens, nobody knows what they're doing, right? And you just got to do and figure it out, and not know so much like know what you're doing, right?
Well, brother, what's interesting to me, and this isn't just like real estate, it's I'm now doing a bit of angel investing. So I'm taking all of the knowledge that I have about companies and having built, because I coach right now 29 agents that are, on average this year going to sell probably about 225, 230 transactions is what they're pacing, on average. And some doing a little bit more, some doing a little bit less. But, I look at companies now, and am I going to invest in these startups? And so much of, like, if we look at real estate or any business, the strategies that we take right now as the industry, this is exactly how you do it. At one time was someone like me or you or Tom or someone going, let's try this. I wonder how this is going to work. Yeah. And then tweaking and developing, and then we just R&D it, from that point forward. So
I love it.
Duplicate.
Yeah. I love it, man. You're getting a ton of love out here. Dan Ludwig says you were his bold coach a few years back. Says you're awesome. Well, thumbs up from Jeremy Katie.
I love Katie. What's up, brother?
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Hey guys, can we heart it up though for Tim and what he does with this show? I mean, it's the real rock star right here. Is you, brother, bringing all this great content and all these amazing individuals, onto the show to be able to actually impact the real estate community, man.
Well, I appreciate it, man. So it's funny, you have all these pipes has pipes. I love it. Bunch of people love you. You're here. Tom Ferry is the #1 real estate educator, right? And you guys have been together for years now. I mean, what do you think? Why has your organization been so successful? If you can boil it down to one core value.
So I'm going to go back actually a really long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was 22 years old and I met Tom, and I met him through Mike, through his dad. And
Yeah.
hey guys, look, I'm going to give a big shout out to Mike Ferry. And I know that may seem odd because he's our competitor. However, Tom and myself would not be where we were if we weren't on the shoulders of that industry giant from in the late 80s to the 90s. And what we learned from Mike is a lot of the foundation, the principles of you got to treat this business like a business. You've got to, have great sales skills. You've got to be able to, not have this be a hobby. You got to understand the numbers because numbers are the language of business. So you take that great foundation that we learned together, right? Tom was 22. I'm 21 at the time, or, just turning 22, Tom turning 23. Yeah. And all of a sudden we started looking at it and we learned so much from Mike, but then it got to a point where we went, you know what? There's got to be something else, because sure, you got to prospect, you got to lead generate, you got to know your scripts and dialogues, but the world is changing. And so where Mike stopped and said, screw marketing, it doesn't work, right? Tom leaned into, hey, you've got to lead with some really good sales skills and treating it like a business, but you've got to support that with incredible marketing, right? So that you are picking up the phone and you're calling someone and they go, hey, Tim, I know who you are. I see you everywhere. The reason that Tom has grown is, number one, it's built on a strong foundation. Number two, because he's always looking for what is the next, where's the trend in the market and how do I get in front of it? What is the best strategy once I'm in front of it? And then how can we duplicate that to our clients? How can we take that out to our clients as a proven method, an ideology, and a strategy for them to use is number two. Number three is this. I saw someone say, I think it was Tiffany said, love pipes, he truly cares. Dude, I pale in comparison to Tom in relationship to how much he truly cares for this industry, how much he cares for every single one of our clients, and even our competition. We just want the public to have a better real estate agent. That's it, period. And we'll do whatever it takes to make that happen.
I love it. Awesome stuff. We talk a lot about like empathy and building relationships with clients, and the best way to care about people is to actually care about people, right? Yeah. Like don't be in this business if you don't authentically and genuinely care about helping others. Because there's, I think there's a couple people here and there that may be in it just to close deals. So.
And watch, God bless them, because those people that are in it to close deals create the contrast for us actually in this to, yes, close deals, make money, but do it inside the umbrella and a framework where we're serving people as well too.
Another thing that comes up, I see it all the time. People saying, look, your coach should be selling real estate, right? And you guys aren't actively selling real estate too much anymore, I don't believe.
I had to, it's impossible for me. I deactivated my license in 2016 because, specifically, I can't go talk to Remax when I'm with another company. I can't get hired. So it just doesn't work for that. And so I made the choice to do this versus actually continue to sell. Yes.
But I mean, what do you say about that general opinion that a coach should be selling? Yeah.
Coach should be selling. Well, I look at Jose Mourinho, and I'm not sure how many of you guys know who Jose Mourinho is. Jose Mourinho is one of the greatest and winningest soccer coaches of all time. He coached Real Madrid. He also coaches right now Manchester United. So any of you who don't follow soccer, don't follow soccer, may not know who he is. But he is the Bill Belichick, if you will, for European football. And Jose Mourinho only played a little bit of soccer, hardly at all, like on a really low level B team, never made it to the pros, right? And still he's one of the greatest coaches of all time and will go down as the greatest coach. What makes him so good? What makes him so good is there is the mind. There are people that can do real estate, but cannot actually transfer what they do over to other individuals. And then there's individuals that may not have sold a lot of real estate, but look, let's just call it what it is. Look, Tom doesn't sell real estate, But you know what? There's nobody that I know that is thinking about where the industry is going and thinking about how to make it change and thinking about how to be able to impact it more than that dude. That's what I say. And I also say, by the way, our clients sell, average client earns close to $400,000. So something's got to be working, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's my opinion that it's not about how much your coach sells. It's about how much do your coach's clients sell,
Yeah,
right? I mean, that's what
sure.
matters. Those are the numbers that
That's the
matter at the end of the day.
results. Those
I
are the
just,
results.
I see that all the time.
I
And,
saw it on Lab Coat. I
yeah,
saw that whole string on Lab Coat. It was all I could do. I swear to goodness, man, not to jump in. I'm like, you know what? Some things are better not said. Okay. Like
for
some
sure.
things are better not said. But you know what? The results are what actually count in the end of the day. And Mourinho with Real Madrid won multiple championships, with Manchester United, multiple championships. And I look at the results that we produce for our clients, and that's the championship, is their income increasing and the results that they're producing, brother.
I love it. I love it. I saw a little live clip from somebody that was at the leadership summit there that you guys had. And Tom was talking about listening versus relating. I know when I go into a listing appointment, when I go into something, a lot of times I'm trying to build rapport by relating to people. So tell me a little bit about the difference between, taking the time to listen and trying to spend too much time relating.
So I love scripts and dialogues, Tim. I mean, you know that. I mean, I live my life through scripts and dialogues. I teach scripts and dialogues, and there's this knee-jerk response when it comes to scripting that people have, where they say, "Gosh, you know what? That's for rookies. It's not my style. It's I don't want to do it that way."
It's the same thing I thought when I got into coaching. I was like, that's not for me.
Yeah, 100%, man. And it's normal, right? And what I want you to think about is this, though. And I want to invite you to have like a paradigm shift for a second. And what a paradigm shift obviously is where you're thinking one way, and then all of a sudden the light bulb goes on and you go, gosh, maybe the way I was thinking wasn't completely accurate or had some falsity to it. And here's what it is. We have that assumption that scripts don't work, that scripts are cheesy, that scripts sound canned. Because once upon a time, brother, there was a shitty salesperson that actually used a script on us, and we said, I never want to sound like that ever in my life, right? And then we linked together scripts equal pain, scripts equal, sounding unprofessional, which they do if you don't know them. But here's what I want you to think about. Like someone that uses a script on you who's really good, you don't even notice that they're using a script. You don't even recognize it. So to pull this whole thing back, the thing that I love about the scripts is this. When we go to listening versus relating, if I don't know what I'm going to say next, if I don't have my dialogue, if I don't have it internalized, if I don't own it, I really am, in and out of listening. And it makes an impossibility for me to be able to relate to the client, because I'm busy thinking about me, where I'm going, how I'm going to position, what's my next step, right? Versus actually connecting with that client, understanding where they came from, and truly having empathy for them as well, too. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. No, I mean, I've been in those conversations when I didn't know what I was doing, where I didn't have a good conversation because I had to think too much about what was I going to say next. And then when I know my lines, I know my scripts, I know my spiel, then like you said, I get to listen to the client more and not have to worry about as much about what I'm saying.
Tim, let me hop on this one more time too, because, I've had some really amazing mentors in my life. I was fortunate enough at a young age, obviously, as I said, to have Mike Ferry. Then from Mike Ferry, I left Mike, and I was fortunate to have Gary Keller for about 4 years. Right.
Nice.
And, during that time also, Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
And, Robbins talks about this. If you can truly fall in love. So I'm going to say something else. If you can truly appreciate the person that you're selling to, right, or that you're connecting with, then all of a sudden you're now relatable, or you're relating. And how do you do that? It's really simple, brother. You ask yourself a couple of questions. And I do this before I get on stage every single time. Question number one, what do I love about this person? Question number two, what do I truly appreciate about them? Question number three, how are we similar? How are we alike? How are we the same? Okay. Question number 4, what am I grateful for? And if you ask those 4 questions to yourself, I know it sort of sounds like personal growth woo woo. You ask those 4 questions, though, all of a sudden it's not a me and them. There's a similarity that in your mind you have now connected with. So it makes it easy for you to like be on the same side, to actually be connected, to be moving forward together. Does that make
Oh,
sense?
no, that makes a ton of sense. I know so much of how my conversations go um, are dictated like by the mindset I go into that call with, right? The mindset I have when talking to this person. Is this a tough client and I'm dreading the phone call, or is this a client that I like? And it totally changes the conversation. So getting in that mindset before you get on that call, before you meet with that person,
For sure.
super important. I can dig it.
Changes the whole framework, and it changes it from listening to relating, because
Mhm.
listening has an assumption that we're separate. Relating means we're similar.
Yeah, I just know that sometimes I talk too much, right? Because they're like, "Oh, we just went to the park," and I'm like, "Oh, I went to the park last weekend." You know what I mean? Like, bad example, but I tend to
Yeah.
jump in too much instead of just going in there and just trying to pull as much information out of them as I can. That
Yep.
way, I can package it all up, right, and have the whole story and make sure I relate and come in the right way.
Yeah. The worst thing that a salesperson can do is talk. The
Yeah.
best thing they can do is ask questions. Hey, everyone who's listening right now, no offense, if you honestly cut down your conversation, like you talking 50% of the time, okay, and that's why you have a talk show, Tim. That's amazing. Okay. If you cut down the amount of time that you talk with a client, I guarantee you'd probably double your effectiveness, guys.
I love it. Awesome
Yep.
stuff. Um, NLP.
Yep.
Give me the spiel. What is NLP?
So NLP, neuro linguistic programming is a science that was created by 2 people, Richard Bandler, John Grinder. They were a student and a professor at the University of California at Santa Cruz. In the 1970s, they started studying therapists, Milton Erickson, Virginia Satir, and a group of about 3 or 4 other ones that would be able to take someone who had a phobia, like could not even be in a room with a snake without them freezing up. Right? Could I even see a picture of a snake before they would actually like break into a sweat and not be able to talk? And these therapists would be able in one session to take that person from being completely phobic to being able to have a snake around their neck, right? So obviously it's a skill. Now, most of the NLP that you're going to study, what NLP is, it stands for Neuro of the Mind Linguistic Spoken Programming, something that you do over and over again. And most of NLP is designed for therapy. There are 2 individuals that Tom and myself actually studied, one of which is Robert Stover, and the other one is Kenrick Cleveland, that took this therapeutic ability to be able to remove phobias, to move people forward, to create rapport, to be able to help individuals overcome issues. And they said, how do we use this? How do we actually use this in sales? And what they were able to package together is there's certain ways that you can speak. There's the same rapport building tactics that you can use, right? There's language patterns that make you much more influential. So when you learn these, like rapport building, you've all heard this. Look, someone speaks slowly, you want to be just like them. You want to slow down and you want to speak like them. Someone speaks quickly, you speak up. You speak faster. Someone speaks loud, you speak loud. Someone speaks nasally, you speak nasally. Someone leans back in their chair, you lean back in your chair with a little bit of a delay. These are all techniques that were developed by Milton Erickson that have people say, "Hey Tim, you're just like me." Now they don't do it on a conscious level. That's the thing that I want everyone to know. It's not conscious, it's unconscious. It is, judging, evaluating, assessing. And so we can use that in our sales environment to be able to remove resistance, because most people have a phobia. Tim, do you know what it is?
No, what is?
Salespeople.
Yeah, that's true. I don't like
Honest to
salespeople.
goodness. I mean, think about it. Think about how we're programmed to think about salespeople.
Yep.
Slimy, manipulative, greedy, everything else. And it's not because we are, you may not be, it's
Yep.
because of the perception that is out there in the public. So we're automatically working against that when every situation. So you can use NLP to be able to actually overcome that resistance and be able to create massive rapport with somebody.
And I think one of the things is, so I love Chris Voss's book, Never Split the Difference.
Yep.
And one of the things I love in there is mirroring, right? And mirroring is one of these things that, you repeat what the person said to you, and you think about it, it sounds like it's going to be awkward. And so you don't do it. And the same thing with that NLP, like mimicking the person feels like it's going to be awkward, but if you practice it, you realize nobody ever notices, right?
Yeah.
And you get over that, and it's like this thing, and you're like, wow, this really works.
Within 30 seconds, every single
Yeah.
person that's watching this, within 30 seconds, you can meet a complete stranger and have them relate to you as if they were a longtime friend. Like
Mhm.
that is the skill. So what you have to now, but here's the underlying challenge, brother, is this. Most people aren't even paying attention to the individuals that they're in front of. They're busy thinking about what they're going to say next. They're busy thinking about, I need this commit. They're just busy. They're not
Yep.
aware. So I would say this, if we're talking about NLP and everyone wanted to walk out of here being able to actually utilize it, number one is this: become more aware of the behaviors of the person that you're selling to. Are they speaking quickly or slowly? Are they nasal, gut, or throat? Okay. Are they, do they speak loud? Do they speak soft? Are they angry or are they happy? And then that awareness, something amazing happens. You don't even need to change yourself. Just by becoming aware, what occurs is you naturally begin to attune to them, right? Even if you said, I can't really do this, you naturally would begin to switch. But if you wanted to truly speed it up, if they were going to speak really fast, you just speed your pace up just a little bit. Instead of talking normal pace, you speak a little bit faster. And you do that for the first 30, 45 seconds to a minute. And you will notice their body language will change.
Mhm.
Their shoulders will go down. Like everything will begin to shift in terms of the resistance.
I love it. Charles Sparks asks, what are some good sales books you recommend?
Okay. I love Unlimited Selling Power. Not Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins, but Unlimited Selling Power. It is fantastic.
And what do you love about it?
It takes NLP and it actually makes it practical for an everyday common user, and it applies it into our role as salespeople. I think if you've got a team, the book that you have got to get is the Sales Accelerator Formula, which is like anyone that has a team of 1, 2, 3, 10, 15. The Sales Acceleration Formula is absolutely dynamic, right? And then, gosh darn it, there's one more. And then I'll go back to this. I know this sounds odd. I'll go back to How to Win Friends and Influence People, because that, like every single year, there's 2 books that I read, Think and Grow Rich. And then number 2 is going to be How to Win Friends and Influence People, because I need to get a tune up based upon some of those basic fundamentals. Okay.
I love it. I love it. Good stuff.
Yeah.
If you guys want to ask a question, feel free, drop it in the comments and we will post it up. Recently, there's a lot of different stuff, right? We talked about different things coming into the market. Is there any specific script that you've tweaked or changed that you see working really well?
So,
golden nugget one-liner.
So one-liner is this: with all of your leads that you have, right? We all have leads.
Mm-hmm.
What I would encourage you to do is when you call them back, I want you to say this: hey, Tim, it's Bill Pipes. How are you? Great. Hey, Tim, I'm calling you back like I said I would. I know it sounds super simple and very easy, right? You may go, well, what's so dynamic about that? Well, there's 3 reasons why people choose to work with you, right? Over all the competition. Number 1 is they have to trust you. Number 2, they have to respect you. And number 3, you have to have rapport. Now, NLP we talked about is the rapport building, but trust. When I say I'm calling you back like I said I would, what does that do?
It says, I do what I say I'm going to do.
I do what I say I'm going to do. I have integrity. You can count on me, right? You can trust me. And you use that one line, you're going to find, now watch, it's not a close, but it makes the close that much easier. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I love that. Yeah. So you're coaching 29 or so agents that do, like you said, 200 plus deals a year. Yep. If you had to boil it down to 1 or 2 things that gets them there, what do you think those are that set them apart from other people?
So why don't I flip that question around a little bit and tell you the mistakes that they've
There you go. I
made?
like that too. I like that
Yeah,
too.
let's go to the mistakes they've made, because I think that if we can identify the mistakes,
Mhm.
then then it'll allow all of us not to make them. Number one is this: don't grow just for the sake of getting bigger. Okay. There's this big push right now in the industry to have teams. And I love teams if you're doing it for the right reason. There's a lot of people that say, I want to get bigger for bigger
Yeah.
versus bigger for better. Have the vision of why you're growing the team. Like I said, I'm investing in companies right now. And one of the questions I ask all founders is this: number one, are you building this to generate a cash cow that has longevity, that just continues to produce revenue and profitability? Or is there an exit strategy for 3, 4, 5, 10 years? The same thing is true for real estate, right? Are you building the team because you want to have a cash cow, you pull yourself out,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden income is just generated, right? With the team continue to produce with a little effort for yourself? Or are you building it because in 5 years you want to sell this team to somebody else? So number one is, don't make the mistake of just getting bigger for bigger. Have a vision. Know what your strategy is. Know which of those two arenas you're going through.
Yeah.
Number two is this: hire the right people. The biggest mistake that I have seen teams make is they don't have clarity in terms of what their culture is and who's a good fit, right? There are people who should never be involved in the Tom Ferry ecosystem, right? There are people we should never coach because they're not a great fit. Okay. And we recognize that. There are people we have to turn away and say, this isn't the right fit for you.
Yeah.
And there's, like, as a team, nothing can hurt culture more than you bringing in the wrong person, right? I mean, like, think about that. Right? The rotten apple syndrome
Mhm.
absolutely is 100% true. Past history for me, in addition to coaching, in addition to having the real estate team, I left Mike Ferry. And when I left MFO, I had the chance to actually align with one of my good buddies, Aaron Chua, for a mortgage company called directlender.com. Now, it was a budding startup mortgage company, had about 80 people. When we left, there were over 3,500 employees and loan officers over the course of about 3 years. And I was in charge of mergers and acquisitions. I had to learn the hard way that if I brought or acquired a branch and I brought them in, that if they weren't the right fit, that it absolutely crushed our cultures. Okay. So number two is make sure you have the right people with distinct and specific roles that they're going to do. Now, here's number three. Okay. Third mistake or thing that you need to do if you're looking to grow a team is this: have clear standards and fucking stick to those standards. Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I
No,
promised
it's
myself
fine.
I wasn't going to drop the F
I
bomb, but
I work with a lot of investors, and it's the same thing, right? Like, they do well when they stay inside their box, right? They buy this
yeah,
type of property to do this with, and then everybody wants to do something to go outside their box because of some reason, and they
yeah,
lose money. And it's the same way. I think you're right. We bend too
yeah.
much.
But check this out, Tim. You know, the mistake that teams make is the same mistake we make with ourselves, is we
Hmm.
set standards and then we don't hold the team to those standards. Or if we're an individual agent, we don't hold ourselves to those standards. God, I heard the best quote the other day and I wrote it down. Let's see if I can actually find it. There it is. And I love this. Okay. Self-confidence is your reputation that you have with yourself. Now, think about that. Self-confidence is the reputation that you actually have with yourself. When people that say, well, I just don't feel confident about doing X, Y, or Z. Yeah, you don't have confidence because you've broken your word to yourself in the past. And every time you say, I'm going to get up, I'm going to prospect today, I'm going to get up, I'm going to follow my schedule, and you don't do it, your mind builds up a case in terms of why you don't have an ability to be able to
Hmm.
actually do harder things. Does that make sense?
Ton of sense.
Now watch this. Hold on. So those of you that have teams, when you set standards and then you don't hold the team to the standards, like You need to lead generate an hour a day, do an hour of power. You need to come in and be part of, our morning huddle. You're expected to get script certified. You're expected to do 1 open house or 3 open houses every single month. These are some of the standards the teams that I work with have.
Yeah.
And then you don't hold people to those standards, then what's happening is you're not creating confidence in you as a leader, right? And you're actually, creating an environment where they can do whatever it is that they want to. They know they can get away with it, etc., rather than sticking to the standards. So if you're going to set standards, set them so that you feel strong enough to be able to hold people to them, including yourself.
Steve Connolly asks, when selling, how do you handle conversations with a client when they are lying and they are? Do you go along with the lie or confront?
So, Coach Steve in the house, I love you, man. Dude, do I go along with the lie or confront? Okay. So here's what I would say. What may seem like a lie to us is the reality for them, right? Like, honest to goodness, right? Like, people's perception, and this is one of the key things in selling as well too. My perception of the situation means jack shit. What I've got to be able to do is really understand the other person's perception of the situation. And even though we may go, well, they're lying. No, they could be flat out lying. However, what I'm going to actually look at more is, let me understand their angle, how they're looking at this, why it is that they have this perception, why, what's their level of awareness around this, because it may not be a lie. It may be that they're just uninformed, right? Or that they don't have the knowledge necessary to see the truth, which is so completely subjective. I hope that answers your question, Stevie.
I love it. And, the other thing is, if they're outright lying, you got to find out why, right? And usually finding out why is not just confronting them about it. It's usually digging a little deeper.
Brother, check this out. If I push on you right now, what would you do?
Push you back.
You'd push me back. I say, I'm not sure that's the truth. Then what would you do?
I would push back.
You would push back 100%.
Yeah.
I want to align and find out exactly what's going on with that person, right? Versus, so I'll use phrases like this. Can you help me understand that a little bit more?
Yeah.
Can you tell me how you came to that conclusion? I really want to understand your perspective. Can you expand on that a bit? And what you may find is they may not be lying. They may actually just be, perceiving things a different way than you do. Okay, cool.
I love it. Pete Thorpe asks, what position should be your first hire and why if you're building a team?
Okay, hey, Pete, excellent question. I would say for every single person, your first hire is you hire an assistant. There's like someone that's going to be able to support you on doing the administration. There's so many people that their first hire, and this is a big mistake I see in the industry. First hire is, I'm going to go out and hire a buyer's agent. Well, okay, not always the best fit. Even though you may have an abundance of leads, your first hire needs to be an assistant. The reason that you want to hire an assistant is because for most of the people that are listening right now, there's 3 types of individuals. There is the artist, there is the entrepreneur, and there's the operator. I'm going to say that again. There's the artist, which I guarantee you probably about 85% of the audience are the artists. You love selling, you love being the face, you love being in front of people, right? The entrepreneur, these are the bigger thinkers. These are individuals that are connecting the dots, right? That want to build the bigger teams and do things along those lines. And then there's the operator. Right? And the operator is back-end operations solutions. The artist needs to have the operator on board to handle all the things that we don't do well. Hey, Tim, I'll be very clear. I suck at administration. I'm probably one of the worst, like honest to goodness. And because I'm an artist entrepreneur. So what I've done is I've surrounded myself with as many operators as I can. So when the big idea comes, when I'm pushing forward, they're able to keep the wheels on the bus as I'm hitting the gas. So it needs to be number one, assistant that has strong analytical backing, preferably someone that knows about real estate. But if you can't find anyone who knows about real estate, find someone that's has a great resume in terms of administration, and they'll learn real estate and how to be able to support you really fast.
I love it. I love it. Now you get that assistant in.
Yep.
Right. what are they doing and what are those standards you're setting? Because like you were talking about, you build a team, you have to set standards and keep them. But when you're bringing on that first hire, you probably don't have them, right? Because you don't have that team going yet. So what do you recommend in building standards and assigning tasks and figuring that out?
So here, there's two questions inside of there. The first question is, what should my assistant do as if I'm an agent that's hiring an assistant?
Yeah.
The easier thing is for me to answer this question. What should you be doing? You should be prospecting every single day. You should be engaging in lead follow-up. You should be negotiating contracts. You should be going on appointments, right?
Yeah.
Everything else that is not that income generation should be pushed over to and obviously if they're not comfortable following up on showings and giving feedback to clients, then you need to be doing that as well too. Everything else should go over to the assistant. Okay. All communication, post accepted offer, like all marketing that's taking place in terms of listing should all be coordinated by that person. So it opens you up to be able to actually do what you do best, which is sell. So that's number one. Okay. Second question that you asked had to do with what should those standards be? I notice the standards are more important for your sales team than they are necessarily for the administration, right? The administration needs to have, the outline of systems and manualization. It's the sales team, which is typically a bunch of other artists that you've recruited, that needs to have the standards. I'll give you Nazar Kalaji. Actually, I'll give you Tom Toole. Big shout out to Tommy Toole in Philadelphia, man. The dude is just crushing it. I mean, last year he sold, Tim, do you know Tom?
We had him on 2 weeks ago, I think.
You did?
Oh, yeah, we had Tom on. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I mean, he's crushing right now.
Yeah.
But his team is expected 4 days a week they have to come in and prospect, right? Yeah. He staggered it so that they actually have time to be able to actually do it, right? They're expected to do script practice every single day. They're expected to hold a couple of open houses every single month. They're expected to show up to every single weekly training, to their one-on-ones, etc. Okay. Yep. So, I mean, it's just basically all the things that we expect ourselves to do. How would I handle a bad hire?
Colin's asking.
Hey, Colin, fire them as quickly as you can. I know it sounds harsh.
Hire slow, fire fast.
The biggest mistake, Colin, that I've ever made, that I made when I was a younger business professional was this. I knew someone needed to go, but I drug my feet on letting them go.
Yeah.
And invariably, it became a shit show, right? It became a point where, and I don't care if that's a nanny that we've had, if it was a branch that we acquired, if it was a real estate agent that was on my team, right? The longer I waited, the bigger the problem got and the greater the impact it actually had on the entire ecosystem. And it wasn't a positive impact. And you don't have to be a jerk. I'm obviously a high D personality when it comes to my business, a driver. But you just sit down with them and you go, hey, Tim, you know what, brother, I want to say something to you. We really appreciate all the effort that you put in and we appreciate everything that you've done. However, I think you probably can agree with this. This may not be the best fit for you in this company. Okay.
Me?
Yeah. So we'd love to be able to help you find another location that may be, a better place for you to actually than here on the team. Now,
it's not a good fit,
Not a good fit. I have one of my coaches was a woman by the name of Monica Reynolds.
Yeah.
Okay. And, Monica is just, again, I love Monica to death. And Monica said something to me. We were there was someone that I needed to fire. I will never forget this. I remember exactly where I was sitting and where the coaching call was going on. And I said, we really need to let this gal go. And she said, well, then you failed her. And I remember I sat back in my seat and I went, I failed her? Monica, screw you. She failed us.
Yeah.
And she goes, hey, Bill, hold on. She goes, let me tell you why. You failed that person because number one, you never should have hired them in the first place. And number two, that you didn't train them appropriately and give them the right expectations when they join the team. It's on you, right? And then she said something and she goes, and if it's time to let them go, chances are they already know. So they already may have a perception, because if it's not a good fit for you, chances are they're not comfortable and happy either. Okay?
All right. Next question. timely because I just got off the phone with a buddy of mine who's a team agent, right? And he's trying to figure out if he should move on, and be a solo agent because he's doing a lot of business on his own. I know we're talking about a lot about team leaders and all this other stuff, but when does an agent, a buyer's agent, make that transition and go in and kind of, not necessarily start their own team, but go be a solo agent?
Man, you just freaking asked me to walk through a landmine field.
But I mean, really? Come on, let's.
I love the question. No, I love the question.
I think it's a issue, not an issue, but I think it's something a lot of agents deal with.
Number one is this: the minute that you feel like what the support that you're getting outweighs the commissions that you're earning. Okay. Or the commissions that you're earning outweighs the support that you're getting. I had it backwards. Mm-hmm. Okay. Look, there's going to be certain people that should always be on a team. Honest to goodness. Yep. There's certain individuals that thrive on a team. I played football when I was in high school and when I was in junior high. Grew up in Southeast Texas. There was no choice. You played football, right?
Yeah.
Like actual football.
It's crazy. I'm not used to it down here. It's like high school football is ridiculous.
It's everything, man.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, but I was never a team sport guy. You know what I loved? I loved rowing. And I didn't love rowing in a crew of 8. I loved rowing in what's called a single, which is catch row. Not catch. It's sculling. Yeah. What I loved about it is I didn't have to rely upon anybody else. I could do it all myself. If I need to go faster, I go freaking faster, right? So for me, being on a team, eventually I'm going to outgrow that team really quick because I'm an independent thinker. That's why Tom and I work so well together, because we have freedom to be able to do whatever. So you got to identify for yourself based upon your personality profile. If you're a higher D, there's going to come a time where you're probably going to outgrow the confines of the team. If you're a higher SI, I would recommend you stay on the team as long as you can in general, because it gives you structure. If you're that expressive, and on top of that, if you're the amiable, it gives you a culture to be part of. Okay.
I love it. Yeah, Ray Ellen asks, if you are terrible at hiring, how do you hire somebody to take over hiring?
Ray, I love the beard, man. I absolutely love the beard. Did you guys have those guys on?
Ray's been on, and they have the Bearded Men of Real Estate is another show that we have on Real Estate Live.
That's where I know those guys. Yeah,
Steve Connolly asked, assistant versus virtual assistant.
I would recommend in most cases you get an assistant versus a virtual assistant. Mm-hmm. There's validity for me to be able to walk outside my office to talk to Isabella versus having to wait for them to respond, et cetera, from overseas or wherever it is that they are. You're going to pay a little bit more, but you're going to get a lot more. It's going to work a lot better because of the fact that they're actually there. Plus, you can hold them accountable, right? You can hold them accountable, and it's easier to actually push projects forward with that.
Now, I don't know if you would agree, but when you scale, especially with the online lead stuff, at some point there are some tasks probably that you can plug a VA into.
100%. Yeah.
As long as they're simpler tasks. I don't know if you have any of those that you think are good for VAs.
So Ginny and Charles Turner, who are a team that's up in Portland, Oregon, they have their 2 primary executive assistants that oversee a team of 4 or 5 virtual assistants. But they don't have just the 5 virtual assistants that they're working with. They have individuals that are overseeing and working with them that do things like, let's get our marketing done. They work on certain projects, pushing things forward, et cetera. Now, I will say this, guys, I've tried this time and time again. If you're trying to get an ISA that's overseas to be able to work your leads, just stop it. Like, honestly, it doesn't work, right? Yeah. Because they don't have the market knowledge. And I don't know about for you. And I know that my outdesk is going to kick my ass right now for saying this.
Dude,
but
I went through it and I'll never do it again. So
never do it again. Yeah, never do it again, because you're an ISA, if you have one, needs to have markets knowledge and market awareness. And they also need to be people need to feel like they're actually here versus Bob from the Philippines.
Well, piggybacking on that, Jesse Garcia says, do you know where you can find a good ISAs, or if there's a company that does good ISAs?
Dude, what is up, Jesse Garcia? By the way, guys, That dude is a rock star. I freaking love him, right? Like Jesse, mad love for you, brother. Um, honest to goodness, I cannot say one company that I feel completely comfortable with putting my
Yeah.
name behind for an outsourced ISA. What I would say is this. Most people look at the ISA, Jesse, as a entry level job, right? This comes from my good buddy, Doug Ederington. Most people underpay for that position. And it really is one of the most important positions on the team because it's top line of the funnel and determining whatever else comes down. I would encourage all of you, increase the pay that you're actually paying the ISA if you're not able to get them, if you're not finding good candidates, right? And that role should be earning 60, 80, $100,000 a year. I know you guys don't want to hear that, right?
Yeah.
Honest to goodness is the truth. It's one of the most important pieces of the team. Now, what I do like is this. Hey guys, love Indeed, love Wise Hire. If I'm recruiting, Wise Hire for me right now is my go-to. Wizehire. Absolutely love that.
I love it. Geez, what was my next question?
Let me say something else, Tim.
Go ahead. Yeah, dive in.
That ISA position should be so sexy that the agents on your team would be willing to actually give up their position of being a salesperson on the team to jump into the ISA role.
Okay, I know my question. What do you pay the ISA?
Depends on the marketplace, right? You got to pay them. Now, here's what I would tell you is you want to pay them a high, like a decent base, right? Hourly base, right? And that depends. Like we always paid ours $12 to $15 an hour. Now that's Salt Lake City, right? So you've got to do cost of living adjustments, et cetera. Okay. We would give them a bonus on every appointment set. We would give them a bonus on every appointment that resulted in a listing taken or a buyer broker agreement signed. And then they would get a large bonus on every transaction that closed. In Salt Lake, our ISA Robert actually earned about $60,000 to $65,000 per year as an ISA. In fact, when we sold the team and moved it off, he was not the happiest person, right? Simply because the fact that we were, I was done what I wanted to do. And he's like, but wait, okay. But he's since actually become a great loan officer. So I'm proud of him. But the pay, good base, enough to attract great talent, and a good comp model that's based upon performance that allows them to be able to make 60, 70, 80, $100,000 a year.
I like it. It's a little bit out of left field, but Colin asked, what are the pros and cons of hiring past clients? I just brought a past client on as an agent, so it's kind of an interesting one.
So the pros are they know how you work. They appreciate what it is that you do. Some of the teams that I have, some of their best hires have been past clients, right? I think the cons are if you have a relationship with them, right? If you actually have a relationship with them, this is not just with past clients. This is if you're hiring anybody that you actually know. You have got to be so clear on the expectations of what they're going to be doing. Otherwise, it'll screw up the relationship. Then you need to frame it and say, hey, I know we're friends. I know we've worked together before. However, this is business. And so the expectations I have to be even more clear with you, Tim, on right now are this, and this, because I'm committed to your success, but I'm also committed to we have a long-lasting relationship.
All right, next thing, and this is just a personal question because I'm selfish, right? I love getting people on here and kind of scratching my own itch. What's some advice that you would give to get people like myself to commit to prospecting on a regular basis? Time block, do all this other stuff, but mentally, what's that switch to get you to commit to prospecting every day?
What a great question. We're in a world right now where the new model of real estate agent that comes in thinks that they don't have to prospect as much. I call bullshit, right? So I just want to start with that. I don't give a shit how much marketing you do, everything else. You're still a salesperson, man. That's still what we do. And I freaking love being a salesperson. I don't know about you guys, but I do. I love selling. There's nothing that lights me up more Well, there's one thing, right, that lights me up more, but
Yeah.
nothing that lights me up more than being a salesperson. So I think number one, you got to realize it's still your job. AI, AR, all this other shit is not going to replace us being great salespeople. Number two is this. Human beings make decisions based upon two principles. I'm either avoiding pain or I'm gaining pleasure. And why people choose not to prospect is because they associate more pain to it than the pain of not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime that I've got a client, it's been a long time because I'm working with CEO type individuals running teams, but anytime that they have a team member that isn't prospecting, or in the past when I was working with single agents that weren't prospecting, we do a simple exercise. We would go through and we would say, okay, what are the 10 to 20 positive benefits that you're going to receive if you develop the skill and the behavior of prospecting every single day? And they would write it out. Then we'd go to what are the 10 negative consequences that are going to happen in a year, 3 years, or 5 years if you don't. And they would come up with, I would force them. I'd say, you got to come up with 20 because the first 3 or 4 are the automatic. And then when you get to 5, 10, 15, now you're digging, you get to 15 to 20, man. Now you're really digging into the emotional components. So now you got the pain and you got the pleasure. And all that I have them do is I have them take out, right, that sheet every single day before they start, like they're coming into the office. First thing that they have to do, look at their sheet. Here's what's going to happen if I do my lead gen and prospect. Here's what's going to happen if I don't. And then I say they have to ask themselves this question. Which life am I more committed to? That's it. Then it becomes a choice. It becomes a trigger for them because they're choosing not am I going to prospect or not. They're choosing, am I going to have more money in the bank? Am I going to be able to have the nicer house? Am I going to be able to take my family on vacation? Am I going to be able to actually leverage this and grow a bigger team? Or am I going to choose to actually still be living paycheck to paycheck, maybe not be in the business, right? Continue to drive a shitty car, not have any money in the bank, not have the freedom that I want. It's a choice of lifestyle at that point instead of a choice of an activity of prospecting.
I love it. Rewind that if you didn't catch all that. Good stuff there. If you had to get a deal in 10 phone calls, who would you call?
I would call the top 10 referral sources in my database of past clients and centers of influence that are my AAA clients and let them know, hey, I'm in a bind. I need to find one person that needs to buy or sell in the next 30 days. Who is the one person that you know? Better yet, who are the 2 that you can think of off the top of your head? That is exactly where I would go.
I love it.
Or before that, actually, before and if not that, okay, if not that, brother, I would go through all of the leads that I have, right, and call my top leads. But if it was brand new prospecting, I'd call my database of my top influencers and my raving fans and advocates.
So what's your favorite way to reconnect with the database? Because I know we always talk about it, right? The database, it's like your gold mine. It's where the best deals are. But what do you do to reconnect with them on a phone call?
So I'm going to give you guys the tool from my buddy, Jimmy Rex. And if you guys haven't got a chance to watch it, Tim, I'm going to do a shameless plug. You guys got to check out the Real Success interviews on YouTube, right? Take a look at those, man. Specifically Jimmy Rex. Now here's why. What Jimmy does is this. He's a great agent. He's in Salt Lake City, Utah, and in Provo. Brother, Tim, I'm not sure if you do this, but if you don't, you're freaking going to love this. A couple of years ago, we're sitting in this office right here, and he was a grinder on for sale by owners, man. It was 2008, man, and he's like 2009, and he had listed over 70 for sale by owners that year, right? I mean, he was a machine at it, but he only sold 6. And he came into my office. He's like, I hate real estate, man. I don't want to do this shit anymore. And I said, okay, great. Well, what do you like? He goes, I love throwing parties. I love throwing events. And I said, okay, cool. Well, let's lean into that. And guys, think about that. Like, this is your business. Create it the way you want it. Do the shit that you love, right? And then monetize it. And so what he loved is he loved throwing events. So we started off and he threw a small 4th of July event. 15 people came. he got 2 deals from that one event, right? And now that was 2009 when he did that. That event now last year had over 5,000 people. It had to have permits. It's insane how it's grown in just, what is that? It's 2009, in 9 years. So the way I would reconnect with my database is this. I would plan an event. I would get my lender to cooperate in terms of the cost, so it doesn't cost me that much. That event could be something super small, like a barbecue, or it could be a movie night, or it could be a night at the comedy club, or something along those lines. I would get that event planned. One of my good clients, Robert Mack, just did his first one. He did a wine and paint night, right?
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah, where you go in. And
Yeah.
he ended up with 53 people that actually came to that event. Very first one that he did. Now, guys, check this out. The purpose of throwing this event is not the event. The purpose of throwing the event, you don't want the event to suck. You want it to be fun. You want it to be good. The purpose of throwing the event is this. It's an excuse to pick up the phone and call your database and invite them to something. And then automatically real estate will come up. Instead of calling going, hey, can you think of anyone, Tim, that's thinking about buying or selling? Do you have any questions about real estate? Hey, Tim, it's Bill Pipes. How are you? Hey, brother, I'm giving you a call because I wanted to personally invite you to a special event that we're having. Right? We're doing a cool wine and paint night on, June the 21st. With you being someone that's worked with us before, I'd love to have you come, man. It's going to be a great night. It's limited. And if you can clear your schedule, it'd be fantastic for us just to connect a little bit more and to do it in a fun environment. What do you think? Right? Now, I've reconnected, right? And I say, by the way, Tim, whether they come or don't come, do you have any questions about real estate that I can answer for you at this time? That's the way I would reconnect with them, man.
I love it. Nothing better than having an event to invite somebody to when you call them on the phone. We got some more comments here. Maureen says, amazing stuff. Bill rocks.
Thanks, Maureen.
My coach, Mark, real estate gold.
What's up, Gobler? Thanks, Conley.
And tons of love here. So look, you got, I've had you on for an hour here. We definitely had no problem filling an hour with some great content. So you've got a good amount of agents watching right now. Hopefully a ton more are going to watch after the broadcast. What is the one message, the one thing that if you could leave them with one thing to kind of change in their life, change in their business, what would it be?
The purpose of business is to fund a great life. And the purpose of life is to truly live before you die. What does that mean? Well, dude, build your business to support you having an incredible life, not the other way around. Schedule the shit that's important to you, the family, everything else that you like, family, time off, vacations, things that you love to do. Otherwise, nature abhors a vacuum. If you don't fill that time with something, the business will creep in. And you'll end up not being the mother you want, the father you want, the husband you want, the wife that you want to be. You won't be the son or the daughter that you want to be, right? You'll have this great business, but you'll hate it and you'll be miserable. The purpose of business is to fund a great life, not the other way. And the purpose of life is to live before you die. It's not the other way around, right? So I know that has nothing to do with lead generation, but it has to do with the fact that life is short, right? Our time here is small, and we want to make the best of it with the people that we care the most about.
I love it. Awesome stuff. Great note to end on. I appreciate you being on here. Where can people find you?
If they want to reach me, I'm at Coach B Pipes on Instagram, and then I'm Bill Pipes on Facebook. I've already reached the 5,000 a long time ago, so you just got to hit follow, guys. And I'm constantly doing Facebook Lives and things as they come to me in terms both on inspiration and tactical strategies. And of course, guys, TomFerry.com. We would love to see you at any of our events and anything else. And if not, just plug in, watch, learn, act. By the way,
when's the next sales edge?
Level 10, baby. I love the shirt. Level 10.
All right. We got to tell people hold on.
Let's not tell anyone. Hold on.
All right. We'll see. It'll be worth it. I promise. He's like Superman.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were gonna. I thought you were gonna change
I'm
into
not
it.
going to change. I don't have that much time. Are you out of your mind?
Uh,
Tell him when we both came on the call.
Yeah, he jumps on the screen and he's wearing his level 10 shirt too, so he had to go change it. Oh,
We figured we couldn't be the Bopsy twins, but we ended
classic
up doing
stuff,
it
man.
anyway. Next sales edge is Toronto next week. Then we've got Boston and mid June. Obviously, we stop then. We'd love to see you guys at Summit back in Anaheim, which is the first week of August, and then we've got Orlando sales edge in October. And then we have the Silicon Valley sales edge in November, and then San Diego sales edge in December. And you can find all the exact dates on tomferry.com. And brother, again, I want to say something to you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for making an impact on the real estate community, right? Were I actively selling, man, this would be one of my go-tos. And it is. I love watching your show, brother. So I just want to say thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Peace out, guys.
Later.